Welcome to Grand Prix, your go-to channel for the fastest updates in Formula One. We've got 3 hot stories for you, so make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay ahead of the pack. Let's get started. Hello, my friends. Quick and straight to the point so you can stay up to date during this Formula One summer break. Today, we have encouraging news for fans of Lewis Hamilton. A fresh report could reignite the 7-time world champion's hopes of securing that long-awaited 8th title. According to the Italian outlet Formula Passion, Ferrari has already started development work on its 2026 car with the intention of making it better suited to Hamilton's driving preferences. This is important because Hamilton's switch from Mercedes to Ferrari this season has been far from smooth. The SF25, the car he's been driving in 2025, was designed primarily around Charles Leclerc's style, and previously Carlos Sainz's, meaning it doesn't naturally cater to Hamilton's strengths. Throughout the year, the Briton has struggled to extract consistent performance, often finishing outside his expected range and expressing open frustration over the handling characteristics. The report makes it clear that the 2026 car will not be exclusively built for Hamilton. However, it's expected to align much more closely with his preferred setup than the current and upcoming 2025 models. Both Hamilton and Leclerc share a liking for aggressive cars that allow them to push harder into corners. The main difference lies in their downforce preferences. Hamilton prefers more rear-end stability and grip, while Leclerc leans toward a more responsive front end. If Ferrari can strike a balance that satisfies both drivers, the team could have a much stronger lineup in the coming seasons. For Hamilton, this would mean entering 2026 with a car that finally feels like an extension of himself rather than a constant battle to adapt. That's a stark contrast to his current mindset, where he's been unusually self-critical, at one point calling himself useless, and even suggesting Ferrari might need a different driver. The potential of a better match car could shift his focus. Instead of pushing too hard this year and risking further frustration, Hamilton might adopt a more measured approach, conserving energy for when it matters most. With the 2026 regulations introducing significant changes, especially in aerodynamics and power unit performance, a car aligned with his style could be the key to unlocking another championship fight. Of course, this raises a larger strategic question. Is Ferrari right to adapt part of its development process to suit Hamilton's style? In Formula One, tailoring a car to one driver's strengths can yield big results, but it also risks compromising the overall design philosophy if not managed carefully. Leclerc remains the team's long-term asset and already has deep familiarity with Ferrari's engineering approach. Balancing his needs with Hamilton's will require precise coordination between both drivers, the technical department, and leadership. What do you think? Should Ferrari adjust its design philosophy to meet Hamilton halfway, or stay firmly committed to a neutral baseline that treats both drivers equally? Hello everyone, here's a quick and straightforward update to keep you informed about the latest developments in Formula One. Red Bull is both relieved and highly motivated after securing Max Verstappen's presence for the next season. The confirmation was met with enthusiasm inside the team, which can now focus entirely on the development of its 2026 car. This new machine will be built under a fresh technical regulation, and according to the team, it must be competitive to avoid going through the same uncertainties they've faced recently. Over the past few weeks, Red Bull's performance has declined, and that naturally opened the door for speculation. Rumors began circulating in the paddock, with multiple behind-the-scenes negotiations taking place. Mercedes, in particular, made its interest in signing Verstappen very clear. Still, with so much uncertainty surrounding next year, Verstappen has decided to commit to staying at Red Bull for now. His long-term decision will come later, especially after he sees the new cars on track and finds out which team adapts best to the upcoming regulations. While Verstappen's position is now settled, there's still an open question about the second Red Bull seat. Yuki Tsunoda, Verstappen's current teammate, does not have a guaranteed place for next season. His 2025 results have not been particularly convincing. Although the team acknowledges some improvement in the Japanese driver's performance, reports suggest that Red Bull has already decided not to keep Tsunoda for 2026. One name that keeps coming up in discussions is Zach O'Sullivan, who is reportedly being considered for the seat. Additionally, Red Bull is evaluating the possibility of bringing a new rookie into Racing Bulls, its sister team. This would create a reshuffle in the driver lineup across the organization. Behind the scenes, both Red Bull advisor Helmut Marko and team principal Laurent Mekies have emphasized how important Verstappen's confirmation is. According to them, this removes a massive weight from their shoulders. They can now focus entirely on designing and developing the new car with the certainty that Verstappen will be in it for 2026. The team also believes that Verstappen's commitment will push him to give his maximum effort in helping to shape a competitive car. With his feedback and involvement, Red Bull hopes to ensure that the RB model for 2026 will be capable of fighting at the front from the very first race. Now, the big question is whether Red Bull can actually deliver. The new regulations represent both a challenge and an opportunity. Teams that adapt quickly could dominate the early years of this new era, while those who miss the mark might struggle for seasons to come. The future remains uncertain, but one thing is clear. The commitment of a driver like Max Verstappen is an asset any team would value. Whether Red Bull can capitalize on it will depend entirely on how well they execute their 2026 project. So what's your take? Do you believe Red Bull will manage to build a truly competitive car and keep Verstappen beyond 2026? Or do you think other teams might lure him away once the new era begins? Stay tuned, and we'll keep you updated with everything you need to know from the world of Formula One. Always direct, always focused on what really matters. The saga over who will drive for Cadillac in 2025, or perhaps who will fill its 2 seats, is far from over. Each passing day seems to bring new rumors, fresh reports, and yet no official word from the team, leaving fans and the paddock guessing. Not long ago, reports suggested that Valtteri Bottas had already signed with Cadillac, with an announcement expected soon. The plan, according to those early claims, was to reveal him in time for some initial test sessions scheduled for this August. But here we are, deep into the month, and that announcement still hasn't come. Behind the scenes, multiple names are in contention for the second seat. The short list includes Brazilian Felipe Drugovich, currently Aston Martin's reserve driver, Mexican veteran Sergio Perez, and a handful of younger prospects. Drugovich is widely seen as the leading choice if Cadillac opts for a long-term strategy by pairing Bottas with a younger talent to develop over the coming seasons. However, the dynamic shifts if the team decides to prioritize experience and proven results from the outset. That's where Sergio Perez enters the conversation. The 35-year-old, recently parted from Red Bull, brings over a decade of F1 experience, race victories, podium finishes, and a strong reputation for consistency in midfield battles. He also brings significant commercial value, which could be especially attractive to a team still establishing its brand in the championship. Now, according to fresh reports from Planet F1 and the Argentine outlet Olé, Perez is not just in the mix, he's apparently on the verge of signing. Negotiations have reportedly advanced significantly in recent days, with a deal potentially being finalized in time for an official announcement during the Italian Grand Prix weekend, from September 5th to 7th. If confirmed, Perez's arrival would mark a notable return to the grid and inject Cadillac with both credibility and marketability. But it also raises questions about Bottas's position. Earlier statements from within the team hinted that management preferred to avoid having 2 older drivers, favoring a combination of experience and youth. Bringing in Perez might signal either a change in that philosophy or that Bottas's deal was never as firm as initially reported. There's also the competitive angle to consider. A Bottas-Perez pairing would be one of the most experienced lineups on the grid, but it might lack the long-term growth potential that a team like Cadillac could want in its early years. On the other hand, such a lineup could provide immediate results, making the team a threat in the midfield from day one. As with many F1 driver market stories, the truth may only emerge when contracts are signed and press releases are sent. Until then, the speculation will continue, and so will the debate among fans. What's your take? Should Cadillac lock in Perez for his experience and market pull, or would it be wiser to invest in a younger driver like Drugovich for the future?